I am now joined by the one and only Matthew Edgar. He's the man who hit a 170 against Gary Anderson one of the PGC Pro Tour events in 2020. How are you, Matthew?
I love that introduction. You've won me over already with that. Beating Gary Anderson with the 170 finish at the Summer Series, it was. Never going to forget that one. All good, thank you. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm all good. My first question is, what who is your biggest inspiration? It doesn't have to be darts, it's just in general. Who's your biggest inspiration?
Oh, great question. I'll tell you, most of my inspiration actually comes from wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan. I've always enjoyed the wrestling, and I think a lot can be taken from wrestling that can be brought over into darts. And I'd probably say Chris Jericho would be that in the way in which he can constantly reinvent himself. I love the character. He's been one of the top guys for a lot of years, and probably more recently, I would say quite inspiring to me at the moment is Maven because the old Tough Enough winner from years ago, he started a YouTube channel now, and the way he delivers his content, I find it quite both inspiring, but also quite something I can find very relatable, especially with my darts career. So I'd say Maven and Chris Jericho would be the surprising answer.
You're talking about him starting a YouTube channel. What inspired you to make your YouTube channel?
I think it was a bit of luck in a way. The when I started it, it was myself and a friend just messing around at home, and we
Mhm.
stuck a video out on YouTube. And Michael Van Gerwen said to me, "Because you need to keep doing that. That was good." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll do a few more." And I just started really enjoying it. When I first started doing YouTube, I didn't know how to edit a video. I didn't know how to do anything. I'm still not great at it now. I'm barely know anything to do with computers. I'm not computer savvy, but I really enjoy it. I've liked the learning how to do it and everything that comes with it. It was a nice, welcome distraction as well to the professional darts. So
Chris,
when I was a professional dart player, you tend to find you wake up in the morning and the only thing on your mind is darts. When do I practice? When do I play? When's my next tournament? And it becomes consuming. So it was nice to have something different.
so I think I'm usually only dart player to have a YouTube channel.
There's a few more taking to TikTok these days. There's quite a few dart players moving onto there on that platform. We've
I
seen
see
Steve.
you. I see you moving on to there now.
Yes, I've done some content on there. Myself and Owen Binks mainly. I've done a
Yeah,
couple of videos
I
like
just
Kevin
I just saw
Painter.
that.
Yes, Owen
Yeah.
Binks is a very funny guy. He'll do well on TikTok. Bunting's on there. Connor Scott's on there. So there's a few more on that, and I like to see it. I like to see people being able to show their personality and not be fearful to do that.
Well, Stephen Bunting blew up in the World Championship, didn't he? Because he had the TikTok going throughout all out the World Championship, didn't he? And that's what his fan base he grew his fan base a little bit more through that TikTok.
Absolutely. You look at the World Match Play recently. One thing I've been calling for a long time in darts is people to have individuality and character. One of the things that lack, and that's why I say I draw the inspiration from the wrestling, because you go to a darts event and all you get is we want to see good darts, we want to see big average, we want to see a 9 darter on 180s. People don't go to the darts to watch a player. Stephen
Mm.
Bunting the other day walked onto the match play stage and got a reaction. He had signs that was relevant to him, and he even got his own chant. Now, that to me is the start of what I've been calling for a long time, and hopefully players will see that and see inspiration in that. That actually, by adopting an approach on social media as well, being interactive, that actually we can develop darts to a new level, which is some individuality.
Talk, talk, talking about you and the wrestling. We know you've been suffering with an injury. How has that injury been going?
It's been going really well, actually. Thank you. I've the last sort of 3 months or so, I've gone back to the gym. I've been doing a strength and conditioning program. I've been eating differently. I've been doing everything I can because my big goal is to play at Lakeside. Now, it looks like that's likely to happen now this year, but one thing I don't want to do is just play at Lakeside. I won't let myself do that just to go up and just play for the sake of it. I want to go there to be competitive. I want to go there with a genuine chance that I can win the title. Now, the only way I can do that is if I work even harder. Working hard wasn't enough. I need to work harder and harder. And for me, I needed to practice more, but I couldn't practice more because of the injury and because of the problem I've got with my arm. So it's like, right, if I can't practice more, I need to find a way I can practice more. So I got in contact with some friends, got a strength and conditioning program written out, got a diet program written out. I've dropped over a stone already. I'm going to drop another stone, and it's working. I'm able to change my flight size. I'm able to work through it. So the injury is not going away, but I found a way at the moment to manage it in a way that will get me to achieve my goal that I want to achieve. And then maybe I'll put myself forward for the surgery because I can't put it off forever.
Is that the surgery Nathan is it Nathan Aspinall?
I would say, from what he's saying about it, it's very, very similar. So it's very similar to mine. So it started off wrist, same as
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Aspinall, started off as wrist. Now he's suffering with elbow, where I suffered more within the forearm. Now there's a nerve that runs through the arm. And what it tends to be is you tend to have it sighted in different places, wrist and then elbow and anywhere in between. It doesn't mean that's where the injury specifically is. It just means that's where it's sighting itself in the brain, the receptor to the pain. So that's the issue I suffer with that nerve. Now they reckon carpal tunnel treatment, carpal tunnel syndrome, which is within the wrist, if I have the operation for that, they reckon it will relieve the stress of the nerve and the damage. So I won't feel the pain and I won't feel that burning sensation. I wouldn't be surprised if Nathan gets very similar recommendations.
Do you think? Do you think when do you think we'll next see Nathan?
Hopefully, in a couple of months, for his benefit. I don't think it's something we need to see Nathan Aspinall out there right now playing. He's got a lot of money to defend, which might mean he's going to risk running a little bit quicker to get back to the hockey. But if we're looking at health first,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't maybe see him for the rest of the year. But that's not
Really?
going
No. If that's under Nathan, he'll want to be. He'll want to defend his money to keep up in the rankings, won't he? So
to. Absolutely, I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit.
because if he keeps knocking the prize money down, that's where he's got to keep chasing and chasing the money.
He'll lose his place in the top 16.
Yeah.
He'll then have to try and get back in on the Pro Tour. It's a long road back. Look how many players fall out the top 16 and never go back. And he won't want to
When
risk that.
yeah. Where your injury. When did you first feel like something wasn't right?
Oh, a long time ago. I've known for what we're now 2024. I mean, it's been something that sort of hassled me for probably 7 years now. But it became a point where it wasn't manageable under the same circumstances anymore. And the other issue I had was I was always a player who was around the 64 in the world rankings. So I was always
Mm,
around that 60 mark. Now, the issue with that is I was always defending my tour card every year. So
mm,
whatever I was doing that while I'm making the world championships, I'm doing these things, you're not going to be taking time off. You're going to have another year on the tour and you go, look, I'll deal with this after, I'll deal with it after. And delay and delay. And then when I lost my card, I was like, right, okay, well, I'll do lots of the Super Series or the Live League as it was then. But
yeah.
I think that's when I pushed it too hard because then I was playing 5 days, 6 days a week, and I was doing it every 3 to 4 weeks. I was playing the Live League. So I pushed it too hard, and it got to a point where I was like, I have to stop.
Do you think the wrestling has anything to do with it?
Oh, of course. There's a lot of pains in my body I suffer with. It's not just the wrestling, it's MMA, it's the boxing, constant impact on the joints. Even when you're doing MMA training or like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, a lot of the time you're still applying the moves or having them applied to you, so you can train, you can feel it, and you can try it. So it was just a long-standing list of things that I probably did too young, too much of.
Hmm.
But on the same aspect, do I regret it? No, because I'm one of those people in life that if I want to do something, I have to do it. I can't just sit back and go, I want to do wrestling,
100%.
regret it later on in life. I have to do it. And I've done it, and I've lived a million lives. So, I'm not surprised that I suffer a little bit now. I'm getting to my late 30s. But will I do it again? Absolutely, I'm going to do it again.
what what thing to come out with. I've lived a million lives.
Yeah,
That's funny to come out with. Um, it's just um good to see like you like well like you being transparent now because a lot of players could be like, oh, I don't know where this has come from, but you being open and honest and say this the WWE, well, the wrestling is why it helps a lot of people. Well, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's the best way to be. Just put it out there, be yourself. If it gets rejected, it gets rejected. But I'll just be me.
What would you say to this isn't what my question, but what would you say to young people starting darts, young
Enjoy
people?
enjoy it. That's I get asked this question a lot. You can imagine this is one of the most popular questions I ever get asked. What's the best advice for a young player? The best advice for a young player is remember the reason you picked up a set of darts. You didn't pick
Mhm.
up a set of darts to be a millionaire. You didn't pick up a set of darts to be a world champion. You didn't pick it up for any other reason other than the fact it was fun. Now, because you enjoy it, you then go, imagine if I could make a career out of doing this. Imagine if I could make my hobby my job. And now you can. It's a legitimate pathway. But remember the reason you picked it up in the first place. I am seeing so many young players now suffering with things such as dartitis because they put so much pressure on themselves to achieve at a young age. Remember why you picked up darts. It was fun. Keep with the fun. It's a game. Yes, there's great opportunities within the game now, but if you chase the opportunities, you're going to suffer. Enjoy it and enjoy the journey.
I can't remember who it was, but someone in the Grand Slam, like was it 7 8 years ago, really suffered with dartitis. What's his name? He
Very, very
recently played. Very unfair, that's right. He suffered with dartitis and he's come out the other side of it. Yeah, you see signs of it, but he's come out the other side of it and he's a good player now.
Mark Walsh, another great example of someone who came out better from the other side of it. And that's because what they thought they had something taken away. If you think about what I just said there, remember the fun, remember the enjoyment, and stick with that. Now, when they had this start, for most people, that's the end of the road. Game
Hmm.
over. You're not playing no more. For these players, they got to the end of the road. They thought it was game over, and then I've lost it. It's gone. I'm not getting it back than they did. They appreciate it more. It's fun again. I've got something I thought I wasn't ever going to have in my life ever again. Now it becomes fun. And those people are the ones to ask those sort of questions to because they'll sit there and tell you exactly what I'm doing. And the reason I can say that is because I thought I'd lost everything myself with the injury. I thought I'd never really play again. I couldn't feel the dart in my
You
hand. And now I'm playing to a reasonable standard again. So I appreciate it more than ever. And those people will say exactly the same.
people things like the Motor Super Series is a great example for people to practice and get to a high level coming back from injuries and just the being at a high level at the Motor Super Series.
The Motor Super Series is amazing. I always say it's Worlds Collide, international platform. Now, by that, what I mean is what we do at the Super Series is we take the best players off the Challenge Tour, the
Hmm.
Development Tour, the ADC, the Women's, the County Circuit, whatever circuit out there that's producing any form of standard. We take the best from those and we pit them all against each other and we say, get on with it. And we've had some amazing weeks, some amazing champions weeks, and we're going to have plenty more. It's a fantastic system, and I would say now it's the second best resource for a dart player outside of the PDC.
Uh, so a few, well, I say like 10 years ago, PDC, the PDC was the all and well, main place where you would go, but now they're so different places where you can go like the Motor Super Series. There's a few other stuff, so it's great to see that other. But it's just not the PDC. You can go anywhere else without a tour card just to show what you can do, and these players will gain more exposure from places like the Motor Super Series.
Exposure is exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. It's a great way to put it because it's the pathways and the opportunities that the players want. Now, when you look at the PDC years ago,
Hmm.
the world was different. Linear TV, broadcasting TV was the way forward. It was all about broadcast. Now you can broadcast from your own bedroom
Yeah.
and have decent views. So the way in which and the landscape of which it is changed. Now, in the past, what would happen is the Motor Super Series would run. They'd have to sell it to a broadcaster or a TV channel. If that TV channel pulled out and didn't do it, the show stops. Now it goes right. We'll do it on YouTube. We'll do it on these other platforms. There's other opportunities out there. TikTok's a growing platform as well. You've got things like Twitch. There's opportunities now out there to develop beyond relying on broadcasted TV events like 10 years ago it was. And because of that, opportunities. Because of that, finances in regards to sponsorship and ultimately exposure. So the pathways that are there now never existed 10 years ago and could never have existed 10 years ago. And what's exciting is these new pathways are still infant. They're still very early days. What is this going to look like in 5 to 10 years when people develop more on these broadcasts?
I mean, you look at Luke Littler, for example, he benefited so much off the Motor Super Series. If it wasn't for the Motor Super Series or the youth development tour, then God knows where he would be.
The system's incredible now. When I was younger, when I was Luke's age, I was playing darts and I had to play in my local pub. Then I played my club. Then I played my Super League, my county. The system is so different now. I remember youth darts. You'd go to an event, you'd win a certificate and maybe a prize. I think one prize I got a certificate and then like a little mini TV. Now you're playing for £10,000, a place
Yeah.
on the World Championship stage. It's
Mm.
different. There's opportunities and pathways that even for the young players now, we can have professional players from as young as 16.
That's correct. Yeah, it's my no, but Motor Super Series. I was watching some of it earlier, and you look at Connor Scott, Ashley Coleman, and things like are the top two at the minute, and those two will have a battle this week, surely. Well, they are having that battle.
Great week. We had a fantastic week last week as well. Plazia, Andy Bolton, Cam Crabtree.
Hmm.
Every week's going to have some big hitter in there now. Andreas Harrison was on a couple of weeks ago, the series champion. It's becoming to the point now where, like I say, these players are becoming more known within the world of darts, and that is because the exposure got Super Series, have got a platform to showcase what they can do. Connor Scott, I think he's absolute class act. I don't think he's going to be around on this level for another year. Next year, I think he gets his card back. I don't think we see him back for a long time.
Let's talk about Ashley Coleman. Blew up because of Jack Langston. But what have you made of him so far?
Have been very impressed. Very impressed. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I didn't think he was good enough a year ago. I
Hmm.
thought he was a long way off where he needed to be. But fast forward a year is a long time in sport. And from what I've seen from him at the Super Series so far, he's developed. He's developed bottle. He's developed character. He's developed resilience. He's developed a incredible power scoring game. And I'm impressed with Ashley Coleman. And like I said, a year ago, if you asked me the question, I'd have said not up to standard. Now we look at it and we're looking ahead and we go, right, well, he's doing that at the Super Series now. He's got challenge tour events. He's got more opportunities to continue this progress. He will be a danger come Q school if he continues on the trajectory he's on.
I saw you on a podcast just recently saying people come to watch people come to watch the darts, not the players. But surely if he goes to one of the majors, he's gonna have so much support. They're gonna be just there for him, surely.
Exactly. And that would be fantastic. That'd be everything I want for this sport. And that would set the precedent that everyone would be backstage watching that going, I want a bit of that. Why is he getting that? Why not me? What do I need to do to get that? And it'll make people think, it'll make people work harder, it'll make people not take things for granted. And with that, I think it would be a great thing for the arts.
Yeah, he will be indeed. Let's talk about the last week with the PDC. One match play just concluded on Sunday. Luke Humphries versus Michael Van Gogh. Uh, Look, first of all, what did you make of that final?
Good final. I think the result felt inevitable. I think it always felt like a matter of time. Van Gerwen could have won it at the end, but at no point did I really feel that Luke Humphries wasn't going to take the win. I think from about midway through the tournament, my mind was set, and nothing really ever convinced me anything otherwise. He's going to be a dominant force. I think he's going to be the world number one for a long time. He's not defending a lot of money at the back end of this year. He's going to take some stock. I think we're going to be starting the Luke Humphries era here, where in a few years' time we talk about how good this really was.
Are you talking about like what it was like when Phil Taylor was around?
Maybe not Taylor. I don't think anyone's going to go Taylor-esque, but certainly sort of the Van Gerwen era. I think we maybe
Mm-hmm.
get a repeat of that sort of feat where he's going to pick up a lot of titles and he's going to go into everything favourite.
Talking about a lot of titles. I saw a stat. I think it was yesterday. Luke Humphries has won 5 titles. He got to well, I'm pretty sure it's 5 titles. Got to a final of one, missed a match start against Dimitri Vandenberg, and Gerwin Price has done that, and Luke Humphries has just done that in the space of 9 months, which is absolutely absurd for Luke Humphries to do that.
I've always felt Luke Humphries was going to as well, though, to be fair. If you look back to the early days of my channel, I used to always say Luke Humphries, future world champion. And everyone used to be like, can you not say Luke Humphries' name without saying future world champion? But now he's sort of fulfilling that promise. He always had a lot of ability, and now it's sort of showing and coming through. And the months he's had since picking up that first major title, it's been absolutely incredible. And he's just ran with it. And let's say, rightfully the world number one, and he's always the man to beat.
Because if you think about it, if because he got to a final again in the Premier League, he got to a final in the UK Open. If that was much different, we could be talking about a load more.
Exactly. And that was some of the non-ranked events as well. So I think Luke Humphries is making a good. I think in a way he's benefited from Luke Littler's story because Luke Littler is sort of taking a few of the headlines, allowing Luke Humphries just to dominate the sport on the sporting side of things. So I think he's probably come at the right time to really sort of benefit Luke Humphries and what he's doing.
Luke Humphries is definitely getting his moment because at the beginning he wasn't getting his moment. He was getting a bit. I think he was getting a bit overshadowed by Luke Littler, and now he's showing why he is the world champion, as we just said.
Exactly that. And I mentioned this many times on interviews before that the story never was Luke Humphries wins the world championship. It was Luke Littler loses the world championship, and that'll get you back up as world champion surely. And someone who's got
Mm.
competitive spirit like Luke Humphries, he might not come out and say it, but I'm sure inside he's feeling it and he's letting his darts do the talking.
Because wasn't it at the beginning of the match, but you had Luke Littler winning the title,
Yeah,
and you were pretty wrong. No, all jokes aside, it was for me. One of those two were going to go to the final, and it was proved to be one of those two going to the finals there.
everything pre-tournament pointed to another Luke final. I think it's a final we're going to see a lot throughout the year and in many events and for many years. And I think it's going to be a very 50-50 split. I think Luke Littler's amazing player. Not shown it the last month or so, but it's 1 month. He'll bounce back heavy, he'll bounce back hard. I think that's going to be a final we're going to get a lot. But obviously, then you've chucked a lot of people in. You've got Van Gerwen, you've still got the Gerwin price factor, James Wade coming back to form, the Josh Rock
Totally.
coming through the rankings. There's so many right now
Yeah.
that darts is in such an interesting and good place.
You talk about James Wade again back to one of his best. He almost rolled back the years from 2007, but he couldn't do it this time. But he's showing great signs that maybe he has still got a little bit inside of him and still can compete with some of the big players.
I got one right, didn't I? I got one right in regard to the match play predictions.
Yeah,
That was James Wade. I'd said that nearly missing out on the event, that's going to be a kick up the backside. When the calendar comes out, James Wade goes, I'm playing the World Match Play in July. He nearly didn't. And because of that near miss, he would have felt going into that last Pro Tour, he wasn't in a position. And he would have gone
yeah,
to that event with hunger and desire to qualify for Blackpool. It wasn't a give me. He wasn't going there. And because of that, when he goes to Blackpool, he'll appreciate it a bit more. And with that, we saw the proper James Wade.
We certainly did. Do you think? Do you think the next event is I can't remember what the next event is, but is it no, not the Grand Prix, is it?
And the
One
next
slash
TV tournament will be the Grand
yeah.
Prix in terms of
Um,
ranking.
I can't think off the top of my head. Is he in? Is he in the rankings? Is he in? Is he can he qualify? I can't think off the top of my head. I think he can.
I think he's in. I believe he's in, or he'll be very, very close to. And certainly, if he gets back in the world top 16, then you know the answer. And he's not far off the world top 16, which is where ultimately I think he's going to be.
Because he said in the interview with Online Darts that he believes he should be in the top 10. Do you agree with that?
Ten's a push. I don't think anyone who's outside the. I don't think anyone who's in the top 10 doesn't deserve it. No one's there by luck. No one's won a raffle. No one's just been placed there because they're liked. It's a meritocracy. I think by the time you get to the top 10, you're talking elite of the elite of the elite. You know, where everyone who's there is there for a reason. And I think the top 10 is always correct for me.
Do you think we'll see any surprises like getting towards the top 10? Any surprises that we haven't yet
Surprises?
seen?
No. I think to reach the top 10, you've got to be reaching finals of TV
Sorry,
tournament.
sorry, top 16. Sorry.
A top 16, do you know what? With the way darts is now, I don't think there's any such thing as a surprise. I really
Mm-hmm.
don't. Um, I think darts is so exposed now. You can literally watch every dart thrown on Dart Connect on a pro tour. You can watch every dart thrown on a challenge tour, a development tour. You can watch JDC streams. Nothing goes under the radar these days. The sport is so exposed that I think the days of a surprise are gone. Luke Littler debuted at the World Championship at 16 years old,
Who's
and in my
Luke, by the
predictions,
way?
I had him at least quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So
You
nothing is a shock anymore.
you got slaughtered for over the Jim Williams and Luke Littler, and that almost happened.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people said I was overestimating Luke Littler. I got a lot of hammering in the comment section, telling me I didn't know what I was doing or I didn't know what I was on about because I suggested Luke Littler and he made the final, and
Mm.
look what he won the Premier League. So with that, yeah, I think there's no such thing as a surprise. It might be a surprise to some people, but for those
Yeah.
people that find it a surprise, there's a lot of people like myself who are willing to publicize and talk about those people. So it shouldn't be a surprise because the information's easily accessible these days.
Uh, it's just, it's just, uh, it's just good. Good. Well, I mean, it is funny when people think they know it. People think they know it, and then you come out with as well, you come out with your prediction, and they're like, it's a shot. Well, they're like, it's impossible, but nothing's impossible in the sport of dance.
Exactly, and I think that's the only time that, as a YouTuber or content creator, that I actually I don't get bugged by a lot of things, but that's probably one of the things that I do. And that's because you're talking about a situation that's never happened. I could say right now, James Wade's going to win the World Grand Prix. I don't believe that's the case, but I could say that that's my opinion. I think that's going to happen. And for someone to say, never in a million years, or that's not going to happen, or what are you smoking, or these stupid comments you get, I don't understand that because it's not something that's happened. So it's an opinion, but you're saying factually it's never going to happen, even though you're stating opinion. You're not stating a fact, but it's presented as fact. And I love a debate. I do. I love a debate. But
So do
if it's
I.
an opinion, it's an opinion versus an opinion. It's not an opinion versus fact. Tell me why you think I might be wrong. Oh, I don't think James Wade will do that because of this. I think this player will. And then we can debate. But if you just say flat out no, it's like, well, that's how do you know no? Because it's not happened. You're talking about something that's
Yeah.
not. The moon could crash into Earth tomorrow. You know, we could
Yeah.
have all sorts of silly debates, but if your answer is just no, then you don't really have a counter argument. You're just disagreeing with me, so you can't present it factual. That's probably the only time I get
Yeah.
bugged out when I've got opinion presented as fact.
You know where you know when these comments happen. you just laugh, or do you just, well, I guess you just laugh because you think it's not happened, so I guess you just laugh.
Sometimes I'm tempted to. I don't reply. I don't, because I don't do debating online, like in that sense, from a sense of like frustration with a topic or trying to convince someone they're wrong, because that's not what I'm trying to do.
Mm.
If someone thinks I'm wrong, that's absolutely fine. If someone wants to talk about a reason, as something I brought up or something, absolutely fine. I'll have that conversation, but I won't have a conversation with people that are so fixed in an opinion, and then it's almost becomes my job to change that. That's not what I'm interested in doing. That's not what I want to spend my time doing. I want to spend my time interacting with darts fans and content creators and people that want to discuss darts rather than sort of argue it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I always find it best to have like a conversation like we're having now, but words over a screen, they don't really mean anything. So having these discussions like are having now, even though it's not a debate, but we're having a discussion, is the best way to get where each other's coming from instead of the comment section.
Exactly that. You got it nailed.
Uh, yeah, it's it's just it's just as I said, it's just bizarre how people can what they what they can what they think. But talking talking about you again, my sorry, my apologies. Talking about you, Lakeside, is that pretty much confirmed?
Near enough. I don't think it mathematically is now that they've announced the World Masters, but
Mm.
I can still top my own points up as well. So I would say I'm going to be there. And when I'm there, I'll be there to compete.
Was the next we've seen with the WDF, you some events you've gone to have been fantastic and some events you haven't been, but
Yeah.
how's your uh, how's your whole experience of the WDF been
They could do with doing more. They
in
need to
what
do more
way?
to support the nations. So they leave it to the home nations. A lot of time they don't really know what they're doing. They need a representative. The WDF's got a great system. They've got great support. They've got a payoff. They've got a pathway. They've got history. They've got prestige. They've got everything. They need somebody to run it. They need somebody, maybe an ex-player, maybe somebody who cares about the player experience, needs to come on board and run it. And if they get that, that's an organization that'll live on for many more years. And that's an organization that's already developed. It's got the support. It's ready to go. It's crying out. It's needed in darts. It needs someone for the player experience.
Yeah, I just seen some of your videos and I'm like, how can you play in those conditions?
It's tough. It's tough, especially because I've done this backwards. I went professional first, and I'm doing this afterwards. If I did it the other way around, I'd probably think it was great. But with that, all I know is professional standards. So when
Mhm.
I'm making suggestions, I'm making suggestions to make things better. I'm not making suggestions to try and knock anything. I'm not trying to run anything down. I like to think everything I do is very constructive. I say, I didn't like this. You could do it like this. It'll make it better because of this, and then it's up to them if they listen to me or not. If they value my opinion or not, it's up to them again. I'm not saying I'm right about everything. I'm saying from my point of view, and the difference is I'm willing to voice my point of view where some people aren't. So with that, hopefully, I'm gonna when I stop playing, hopefully the WF will be in a better position than it is at the moment, and hopefully I'll have a hand in that.
You say when you stop playing, how many years would you say, or are you just gonna keep going until your body gives up?
I originally said the end of this year would be my last, but with the way things are going at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if I could do a bit more. If it carries on the way it is, if the gym and the diet and the health and the strength and conditioning work continues to work the way it is, I may have more. And I've always said, I'll never go to Q school. I turned down a £30,000 sponsorship deal to go to Q school this past year, and that was
This
thirty
past
thousand
year,
pounds for like no give back, no send back, no percentage. It was £30,000 to be on my shirt and also for us to make video content and video diaries around the Pro Tours and the experiences. I said no. And I said no because I didn't want it. Not the £30,000, because I'd love the £30,000.
Mhm.
I didn't
Well,
want the
yeah,
lifestyle of playing professional darts. And when I turned that down, I realised that I didn't want it, because £30,000 is more than a year's salary to most people. And I didn't want that just to play darts. I didn't want that lifestyle. I wouldn't enjoy it. Whereas I knew at that point that was probably it. I was never going PDC. But recently, with what I've been doing on the practice board, the thought of not 2025, but 2026 just briefly entered my mind. So we'll see what happens at Lakeside. We'll see how the wrist holds up. Then I've got a whole year to try and get myself ready, or to see if I can be anywhere near where I need to be. And if I think I could do what I want to do, I'll go in 26. If I don't, that'll probably be the end.
so you're saying 2026, and then that be, if you can't, that'll be the end.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot of other things on as well now. I work for Sky Sports, I
Okay.
work for the Motor Super Series, I work for Matchroom, PDC. So I'm working for a lot of big companies in the broadcasting capacity, where I get to commentate, I get to pundit. That's kind of what I want to do long term. So I won't not do that unless I am certain. So if my name goes on that list, you know I'm feeling it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, thank you very much, Matthew, for your time, and
No
hope
problems.
to, and like we catch, hopefully we catch up in a few months' time when the Grand Prix and or Grand Prix and all that as sorted, so we can talk about it a bit more.
Absolutely, no problems. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for your time.
No problems.